Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are having a good afternoon. As always, I appreciate you guys stopping by to hang out with me. Spend some of your Tuesday with me here. Jump into chat wherever you're watching. We'll do how we always do and kick this off by saying hello to everybody that we can. And we'll start the show at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. As always, let's see who's over on D Live first. Northern Power, Northern Power 1. Good to see you. Q-Boys over there as well. Welcome, you guys. Over in the mosh pit. Let me get on over to Rumble, see if there's anybody hanging out over there. Joe Lane while in the chat, and I see a handful of you out there watching. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already, please, and share that link around. Let's just jump right on over to pill.net, home sweet home. And that's where we go exclusively every day at the halfway point in the show. So if you're watching somewhere else, I recommend you do find your way over there. And if you are already over on Pill, do me a solid, hit that red pill button and repost the show. Lance Lightspear, good to see you, buddy. Floyd, due diligence in there too. Delia, HL Paco, Floyd with a monster Taco Tuesday cookie. Delicious. Thank you, Floyd. Patriot 714, welcome. There's Joe Elaine doing her mod thing, taking care of the chat for us. Thank you, Joe, as always. Appreciate you so much. R. Harrell, good to see you. Barb Robbins, welcome. Truth Teller 101 and Lucy Anders, good to see you guys. Facts Not Fear, Range Pony, Den Mom EO, Kaz 1012, welcome, welcome. All right, that's everyone that was here before we went live. Good little crowd gathering. Cynthia, what's up? Good afternoon. Mr. Gerardo, Casey Powell, BF Bills fan. We got Space Cookie, Best Nani, how are you? Good to see you. Hope all is well. Sig your Dragon Slayer and Aurelius Locke. So many of our familiar friends piling in early. Sulfanol, good to see you. Too Quick there as well. And looks like most of the fam is still hanging out with Pinata over on Thinking Logically. So we'll await the raid of all our friends. Faithful Mom, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you again, guys. Please hit that red pill button and repost the show if you haven't already done so. Rosary Mom 7, welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. All right, Ruby 317 checking in over on D Live as well. Yep. And also, guys, please swing by the Twitter page at 412anon87 and make sure you give the broadcast a retweet. That's a big one too. A retweet goes a long way. If not enough of you do it, it really gets the momentum of the post going, gets it on more people's timelines, and has an exponential effect. What's up, Don Ritchie? Good to see you, Kaz. And Dave75, Laura Y repping the 412. All right. And she says the raid is coming. All right. We look forward to welcoming all of our friends over from Thinking Logically today. I love that we have like this little network, this little lineup of shows where you can wake up with methods, do a little morning show, and you can pop on over to 45.1 and the No Prisoners podcast. They'll take you right up until you get to Thinking Logically with Pinata. I go live at 4. You got Pixels at 6:30. You got Frankly at 7. It's just the nonstop amazing content all here on pill.net. I love it. Nezercat, what's going on out in Wyoming? Jeff Den, Brew Bark, good to see you all. Tweety52, Timar, welcome, 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 you guys. Thanks again for tuning in today, being part of our Tuesday broadcast. Let's go ahead and start the show since we've crossed over into the 4 o'clock hour here. We'll be right back.
We will make America strong again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America proud again. we will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Y'all for tuning in, Patriots United, doing what we gotta do to win. Be addicted, the MS7, now we're moving in. And once we take over, we won't ever move again. Where we go on, we go all, I say it with pride. No, we won't run, we won't fall, we're right by your side. The demons have taken hold, but none of us will abide. Stand strong, stand bold, that's how we'll survive. 412 is the production, Monday through Friday, deplorable discussions. We're making it hard for the deep state to function. Every time they switch up the narrative, we debunk it. Adult hero is the power that's controlling the plight. With all you patriots behind them, cause we're all in this fight. So many rhyme for so long, but we're giving them sight. Trapped in the world of darkness, but we're bringing them light. You may even find yourself in a different life. A lot of us have, and honestly, that's perfectly fine. Because exactly where you are at this moment in life is where you're supposed to be at this moment in time. It's all by design, the patriots are holding the line. They must have lost theirs, thinking they're controlling our minds. So many trapped in mental prisons don't know they're confined. They're just slaves in the system till the roles are assigned. That's sad, the good news is that we're waking them up. They have monopolies on minds, but we're breaking them up. Everything you thought was news, they were making it up. When we ascend, all the tyrants won't be making the cut. Let them all burn in the hellscape they create. We the people already mapped out our escape. We hold each other by the hand as we all elevate and go to a different place. They can never get chased. When I look into the future, I can see that it's bright. When this history is written, they will see that we're right. We formed our own community and the circle is tight. But I expand the circle with every word that I write. The pen is sharper than the sword when you wield it with might. Why do you think they try to kick us off all the sights? These people hate America, punish us out of spite. We are the beacons of hope in the darkness of night. So let's go, strap in, yeah, get ready for the ride. Watch the water, we're witnessing the turning of the tide. Feel the passion and the fire that you got burning inside. Take the narrative they're feeding you and turn it to the side. We're alerted to the lies, replace it with the truth. We know the plan they devised, they're invading the youth. Now we're homeless and advised to start raising our boots. These demons all weaponized. Now we're raising our troops. Now we're raising the roof and sounding the alarm. Remember that it's always darkest before the dawn. Life is a game of chess. They want to use you as a pawn. You're only useful until you're not useful, then you're gone. But not us, we're on the right team where we belong. Everybody is invited, so come follow along. We refuse to say things are right knowing they're wrong. Adol Nero, take the mic and take flight, cause it's on.
And now, straight from the Steel City, it's your host, 412 Adol Nero.
All right, let's get this Tuesday going. What's up, everybody? Thank you guys so much for being here for another installment of Deplorable Discussions. My name is Adol Nero. It is December 3rd, 2024. And I've got my good friend Drunk Pinata riding shotgun with me today. Pinata, how are we, sir?
I'm doing pretty good today. Hopefully everyone's having a good Tuesday.
Yeah, it's been a good day, a busy day, a long day. I've been, like I was saying pre-show, I've been up since the very, very early hours of the morning today. A lot to get done at work, and I had to go into the office too on top of that. So feel a bit scrambled, but we're here. I've got a show prepped. We're ready to roll. How was thinking logically today?
Pretty good. So we're approaching the whole whataboutisms of the Hunter Biden thing. So it's, oh, well, Trump pardoned this person and over here, so you can't be mad about this other thing. And well, they prosecuted Hunter Biden, so obviously Donald Trump's prosecution had to be legitimate. It's like this whole like, oh, where you can't have only one point of view or one narrative has to be true. It can't be two or three different things or multiple things true at the same time. And so it just becomes this whole like whataboutism battle.
Yeah,
And so that's the kind of the region that we're in right now as far as the call and response, because we've seen this before. It's like both sides, oh, you're being hypocritical, and it always goes in this cycle of the hypocrisy to the whataboutisms to the, oh well, you're not following the norms. Oh, you said you were going to follow the norms, and it goes back to, like, to go back to the Supreme Court stuff where they're like, oh, we're not going to seat Merrick Garland, but then later we're going to totally do Tony Barrett, right? And so it's this
Hmm.
whole, like, this deflection to the norms, guardrails, and status quo when they feel like it as a tactic. And it's all just tactics. It's gamemanship tactics and politics and nastiness. It just goes in these different. And you can't really say, oh, who's in the wrong, because everybody's projecting. Everyone. It's, what I'm saying. It's such a mess of the various tactics that go back and forth through all the various different topics or events that happen where, oh, you did this thing last time, so therefore you're a hypocrite. You're projecting this time, so it's just this whole big web of bullshit that you really can't lay it out. You can't, like, lay it out straight before it's been entirely messed up. Like, you can't uncook the meal. It is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. And I've got some clips that I think highlight that we'll get to in a little bit. Unless you have something you want to play right now, if you had something specifically pulled aside, you're more welcome to do that. But I do have some clips that I feel like highlight what you just said. Uh, pretty good. But did you have anything you want to get us started with before I do sponsors?
Oh, they have there's a I'll do this real quick. So this is I found this is from a while ago, but I think purpose like pretty well encapsulates the my show. You could almost call this like a commercial for my show. So
All
here you
right.
go.
We can do this all day, all night, Abdullah. Tell us where the goddamn attacks are gonna happen now. Now!
Never! You can beat me, you can electrocute me, nothing! Nothing will ever make me tell you!
Alright, leave us no choice.
Hello, Abdullah.
Oh no, not Jedediah Bila! What you guys do, get a hold of her agent? Jedediah, you wouldn't dare!
Yes, I would.
Oh no! No, not the view!
Yes, The View. On repeat.
You evil temptress! I'll tell you everything! The attack is gonna happen on 42nd Street and Broadway downtown at 2 p.m. on Friday! My gun is no good, well, he's set it up, and we're on the college plan the whole thing!
They said we found some.
Where are you
extra
guys going?
ones. Like,
I
okay,
told you everything!
They
Please
then
don't
go
leave me
on
in
to
here!
explain
Ah,
that,
look
like
me in Joyce
other
Voices, I'm
email
told you.
users,
Step one to one in
if
my
I take
inbox.
something from last year and I've deleted it, it's not going to be on.
There you go.
Oh shit, that's hilarious. That is awesome. That is so funny. Oh, yeah, well, there you go. This week on Thinking Logically. Um, man, that was well done. All right, well, let's go ahead and take care of our sponsor, and we will get to a lot more media clips and all kind of stuff today. We'll got some updates out of Fulton County that are interesting. I've got more on the Hunter Biden laptop, talk some more Cash Patel, and I got like so many tabs open right now. So you'd see it across the top of my screen. We'll see how many of these we actually get to today. But it should be a fun show. All right. Earth Garden Botanicals, earthgardenbotanicals.com, rocking a massive 24% off discount right now when you use promo code 412 at checkout. This is a great opportunity to try some of these amazing products if you have not, or if you're already a fan, great time to stock up. This discount code will be at 24% off through Inauguration Day, January 20th. So take advantage while you can on amazing products like the CBD oil tinctures, flavors like orange ginger, bergamot, huckleberry, cinnamon bliss, cherry, all very good. CBD oil for pets. You have your arnica salve, the CBD infused topical cream for your sore joints and muscles. You can get it without CBD as well if you're not a fan of CBD. You have elderberry tonic to help boost your immune system. I like to pair that with the white pine needle extract or the sunshine and pine needle tea, because that's really good for detoxing. So you can kind of clear the body and boost that immune system simultaneously. Fire cider is really good for clearing your sinuses. And there's a bunch of other great stuff here as well. Promo code 412 at checkout for that massive 24% discount, 24% off discount. So go take advantage over at earthguardbotanicals.com. All right. And as always, guys, thank you for supporting the sponsors. Please hit that red pill button if you haven't already as you file on in. Repost the show as well. Share that link. And if you're on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, I appreciate you guys. Don't mind stopping by my page and reposting the broadcast over there as well at 412-ANON87 is where to do it. And it just helps more and more people filter on in through these different platforms when you guys go and do that. So we do again greatly appreciate the support in that way. Let's start over in Fulton County. And I saw this breaking today that Fulton County or DA Fannie Willis has been ordered to release all communications between her team, Jack Smith, and the sham January 6th committee. So it says on 22nd August 2023, Plaintiff Judicial Watch Incorporated submitted an open records request. Defendant District Attorney Fannie Willis seeking all documents and communications to be received from or relating to Special Counsel Jack Smith and all documents and communication sent or to or received from the United States House January 6th Committee. Plaintiff received a response the next day from Kai Burwell, Open Records Custodian in the office in the county attorney, stating the defendant did not have the responsive records. Plaintiff subsequently brought action on March 5th, 2024, alleging that defendant violated the Open Records Act, or ORA, because defendant, in fact, does have responsive records that should have been produced. Plaintiff seeks the requested records and attorney fees. It is undisputed that the defendant was properly and sufficiently served on 11 March 2024. Plaintiff filed the return of service 2 days later on 13 March 2024 for reasons unknown to the court. The return did not appear on the court's electronic docket when it was filed and processed. So anyway, it sounds like they've been ordered by the judge to release all these communications. And that's huge, right? Because that was a big assertion, accusation, if you will, from the Trump campaign, the Trump defense team, that this was all being coordinated with the federal government, colluding with the federal government to bring these state charges. And I would imagine it was a very similar situation over in New York as well with Alvin Bragg and Letitia James. And this all needs to be exposed, and whether or not they produce these documents or abide by the court order, which I expect there to be more resistance and appeals with this. Those communications run two ways, and when you get Pam Bondi and Kash Patel in place in the DOJ and the FBI, I feel like you could produce these, from the other end as well. So I think this is gonna expose the very corrupt nature of these prosecutions, of these indictments and whatnot. So it's a nice update there. And then you have this as well. Fulton County sues state election board trying to avoid handing over 2020 election records. Georgia state election board subpoenaed all records to be turned over by November 18th. Instead, Fulton County sued to quash the subpoena. They are still terrified of showing what's behind their 2020 results. So you have the prosecution of Donald Trump for this RICO thing that is being now exposed. Like I said, the collusion with the federal government, and you have Fulton County trying to bury the actual records related to the 2020 election that's been so widely disputed as well. So things seem to be trending in a good direction from a perspective of the Trump team and all these lawfare operations, and maybe even finally some answers with 2020. We know Georgia was one of the more egregious states in how they worked to steal it. The margin of victory was incredibly small, only about 11,000 votes or so, or a little over 11,000 votes. So I look forward to seeing both of these things play out. I think that'd be a big 1-2 punch if they're forced to um, give over these records in relation to the 2020 election. You find out that the state was indeed, uh, the election was not free and fair. And then on top of that, colluding the state prosecutor, the Fulton County prosecutor, colluding with the federal government to bring RICO charges against Donald Trump for simply trying to litigate the fact that the election wasn't free and fair. Definitely a bit of a double whammy there, and some good news to start off the show, because I do think disclosure is coming, and behind that will be justice. And we need to have 2020 fully litigated. Just because we won in 2024 doesn't mean we forget about 2020. 2020 is going to be big when it comes to creating the political demand to get things like universal voter ID, removing these machines and the mail-in voting, all that nonsense that helps the left manipulate election results and steal elections. So just a little update there before we get into some of this other stuff. And before I do jump over to some of this other stuff, welcome in Mr. Season Pixels, host of The Breakdown, onto the show. Pixels, how you doing, buddy?
Not bad. How are you guys doing today?
Good, man. Good. It's good to have you. I wasn't sure if we were going to see you or not, but I'm glad you're here, man. Any thoughts on what I just went over there? The updates there out of Fulton County. You have judge ordering the release of all communications between them and the January 6th committee and Jack Smith, which is pretty interesting. And then also them suing to desperately keep election records from 2020 out of the hands of the public after they've been subpoenaed. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Well, the second thing, they're definitely an effort by them to kind of cover their ass, because we all know how 2020 went and was not on the up and up. With the Fonnie Willis thing, I'm really happy to see that. I just actually came across that story just as you were talking about it, because I had an appointment that I had to go to earlier. So just now seeing that, I'm really happy to see it. I mean, I wonder if she will try to get out of this somehow, because I'm guessing there's a whole lot of communications there that she's going to have to put out there. But if the judge has ordered it, I mean, the judge has ordered it. We'll have to see what happens. I think that whatever comes out from that is going to be very telling.
Yeah, they're definitely going to try to, in my opinion, resist, appeal, do what they can. But like I was saying, Pixels, you have a new sheriff about to come into town here with Pam Bondi, of Cash Patel, the Justice Department. They're going to have access to all that stuff. They could release it from that end. It doesn't have to come from Fulton County's side. It could come from the other side. And if you could prove that both Georgia was stolen and this prosecution was done completely corruptly, this is gonna drive a huge narrative. Right when the wind is at the back of Donald Trump, people more willing to listen to him about these things now than ever. It could really, become a snowball effect in this push for election integrity. We need a couple of these states from 2020 to, be exposed, I think, as a main weapon to achieving election integrity across the country. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. My brain goes to justice as well. If people so much as looked the other way while the election was being stolen in any state, then need to be criminally investigated. And I think that maybe we'll see a congressional investigation of some kind, where after Pam Bondi takes the helm of the DOJ, they're going to have a lot easier of a time getting information out of the DOJ. My brain goes to Bill Barr completely lying about having a full-fledged investigation into 2020, and they found nothing, right? Things like that I think need to come out of the DOJ itself, maybe with a little push from Congress. Subpoenas, I don't even know if subpoenas are going to be necessary if Pam Bondi is at the helm. But there could be kind of, deep state or kind of rank and file people at the DOJ that try and slow that process down or something. But yeah, I think that Like you said, exposure is very important, and I think that after that, criminal investigations and actual consequences for this stuff, because that, I always go back to the same point. If there are no consequences for breaking the law, people are going to continue breaking the law. So that's the most important thing for me.
Yeah, I agree. You gotta go after it twofold. One, severely punish those that break the law, especially when it comes to election fraud, because that's really paramount to treason. That's our voice. That's our power. It's a representative form of government. It's really the one true weapon we have to make change is our vote. And if that is subverted, well, the entire fundamental values of how this country is supposed to run um, is basically eliminated. So I do agree that those who cheat and defraud elections need to be punished very harshly. On the other side, you need to legislate away the weaknesses in the election integrity infrastructure, doing away with things like mail-in voting, these uh, voting machines and tabulators that are connected to the internet during elections can be hacked and manipulated. There's so many opportunities to 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 do election fraud in this country right now. So I agree. It needs to be a combination of justice and reform to really get things back on track. And I do think we'll eventually get there. Maybe it's through Georgia. That's Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. All these states have issues that can be exposed, I think. And looks like Georgia might be the first to fall in that regard, but we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, that's all I had there. I just wanted to start the show with that little update because I thought that was pretty interesting little development. Good, Pixels.
Another thing with Georgia, like I think that the investigation into Fonnie Willis and the situation with Nathan Wade and how he was being paid more than anybody on the entire team, and they were going on these lavish vacations and shit.
Hmm.
I think that an actual investigation into that needs to happen, because I thought it was insanely egregious. Here you have a prosecutor who's essentially a criminal herself, coming up with these bogus accusations against President Trump, and remind you, 18 others as well. They were really trying to take down the entire freaking Trump team with this whole thing. So I thought that was disgusting, and I think that there needs to be some actual consequences for Fonnie Willis as well, because from the evidence that we have thus far, it's clear that she was taking advantage of her position in order to stuff money in her pockets, or at least live a lavish lifestyle, and it's just unacceptable. Especially when she goes after President Trump in the midst of all that, literally using the case against President Trump to enrich herself, right? So that needs
Well,
to be investigated big time. And I think that the judge, what was it, Robert McBurney? I think maybe it wasn't McBurney. Who was the judge that basically said, like, yeah, you can continue with this as long as Wade or Willis leaves. You guys take your pick.
I don't remember his name. I don't remember his name, but I know I remember when that ruling came
Pat
down.
McAfee.
There you go.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, hopefully any actual investigation into Fonnie Willis doesn't go anywhere near that guy, because he's obviously a major puss cake.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Think about it though, right? Like how either dumb or like just overly confident or just way too comfortable do you have to be, like when you're Fannie Willis? You're about to try to open up a RICO case against the former president of the United States. You're gonna give him his first mugshot. It's gonna be the most high profile thing you've ever done, right? Like why would you use that case specifically to enrich yourself? Like all eyes are on this thing. Like why if you have a thing with Nathan Wade and you want to essentially embezzle money by overpaying him to prosecute a case, why not any other crime that's going on in Georgia at that time? There's got to be another case you could put him on, overpay him and then go on your vacations where no one's gonna probably notice because everyone's so hyper focused on what's going on with Donald Trump in his case.
They bought into the system for protection, and then essentially hubris took over.
It has to be, right? Like you
Yeah.
have to be so very comfortable that nothing can touch you that you would fuck around on a RICO case against the former president. I mean, that's mind-blowing to me. That's right in the open.
I think that
That's
there was also a level of comfort where, like, they look at the media and they're like, okay, clearly, like, all of the mainstream media is in our pocket. You look at the federal government, clearly, all the federal government is not going to do a damn, not even going to come close to lifting a finger to, holding her accountable for that. So I think there was a level of comfort, basically, like, who's in power, who controls the information. Okay, we can get away with this, right?
it has to be something like that for sure because I mean, again, to do that on the Trump case when you know the whole world is watching that and going to be combing through it with great attention to detail. You have to really think that the entire apparatus is going to protect you on that. So
And she had every
um,
reason to believe that, especially since she was prosecuting President Trump.
yeah, you're right. It's again, these people are, I think Pinata said, the hubris is off the charts. They're just so corrupt. They're so used to a rigged system in their favor that they don't even think twice about doing something so stupid. So stupid. And think like that could have been the one thing that really stopped this from getting to trial ahead of the election was the fact that she did this. Like it's not like that slowed everything down. That basically nuked any hope they had of, I mean, it was unlikely to begin with, I guess, but they were trying to get it there. That was the goal. But by doing that, it destroyed the entire case essentially. And it's funny, man. It's funny to me. Like you're trying to take down Teflon Don. You would think you would be as careful and meticulous as possible to not give any reason for this to hit any kind of roadblocks, turbulence, delays. That already the Trump defense team is going to appeal and work to delay this without any of that at their disposal. So the fact that they still went ahead and tried to enrich themselves off this thing is, again, it's just wild to me. But again, we were never told that these people were smart, right? We've always been told
Yeah.
these people are stupid. And there you go. I guess it's just on display more and more.
I think that part of it, Adel, as to like why they weren't so careful is because they didn't really believe in or hold the whole like let's jail Trump thing as their actual end all be all. Like, I don't think that was really the goal. I think the goal was just to, number one, make it hard for him to campaign, be a financial drain on the campaign itself and on his personal finances, and to just keep smearing him in the media, keep giving the media more ammunition. Because there was a point in time where the media had really run out of all ammunition against President Trump. They had nothing that they could really say about him that wasn't like recycled, canned, and processed from 5 years prior. Uh, so they're like, okay, the media needs more ammunition. We need to keep this guy from campaigning effectively. We need to keep him out of the White House. Essentially, I think that's what it really all boiled down to. So it's like, yeah, prosecutors are given that job. They're like, look, if you can get Trump in jail, like that's a bonus. But really, the goal here is just to smear him as much as humanly possible and make his campaign as, big of a pain in the ass as possible. And I think they largely succeeded in that campaign. Now, was it effective as to like what they wanted that to affect, which was the election? Absolutely not. But I think that's really what they were trying to do.
I agree. I agree. It backfired totally. The mugshot became iconic. It really boosted his poll numbers. Uh, it had no negative effects whatsoever. Honestly, it did give the media something to yap about, but no one was listening or paying much attention to them anyway, clearly. So it's a huge backfire, a huge misplay, overconfident, and very sloppily done, which, whatever, it works out. And now it's all about to be exposed, I think, in a big way. And it's just going to be one thing after another coming down with these people as far as their sacred cows and all the narratives and different things they've tried to spin up over the last 4 years, or even beyond that. You could just see all this stuff starting to kind of implode, the truth really starting to come out. People are gonna really see the nature of the beast here in a big way, and I'm very excited about that. Very, very excited about that.
I think there needs
But
to be like a truth and reconciliation campaign once President Trump comes into the White House. Like, literally investigate everything. Everything that they did against him to try and tip the scale of American politics, even going back to COVID. I think all of it needs to be exposed and it needs to be laid out like very simply so that every single American, regardless of how in the know or not they are, can understand just how criminal these people are. Because we need the justification to really take a wrecking ball to the system.
yeah, and it's ripe for the picking to do so. I saw articles again today. I didn't grab any because it's been the same. It's been the same basic theme, but they're hitting new and new lows rating wise in the mainstream media. They keep dropping, so they're extremely vulnerable. People aren't taking anything they're saying seriously. Most people have stopped tuning in altogether. So our voice is as competitive as it's ever been. Donald Trump is as popular as he's ever been. This movement has as much steam as it's ever had. So you hit the ground running and really, take advantage of that right now. I think it's going to go over well, and I think people are going to be very accepting of the information, way more than they were from anything Donald Trump said, back in his first term. Way less skepticism, and also just way better reach as far as the social media apparatus goes. The free speech online situation's far better than it was, towards the end of Trump's last administration. Everything's kind of lining up from a cultural and infrastructural standpoint to do massive, massive damage to the old guard, the old regime, and all of their little toys that they typically use to manipulate the way we go about our daily lives. Now,
And
I
I
want
think that there's also like a, oh, sorry, you were
no,
going to
go
move
ahead.
on.
Yeah,
One
no,
more
go ahead.
point.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's also a fantastic opportunity. Like you hear people on the media and like former government workers, so on and so forth, talking about how they're so worried that the trust in government's like the lowest it's ever been. And it's like, well, you can't really blame the American people because they've been lied to and bullshitted for the past freaking how long, right? Tell me a time when a single government agency like passed an audit, for example. Like look at the DoD, right? Or the Pentagon. I don't think they've ever really passed an audit. So the American people know very clearly that our government is very corrupt. It's very dishonest. It's been doing a lot of illegal things for a lot of time, and they've been stealing our money. Let's not mince words. They've been taking our money and spending it on the most ridiculous bullshit possible. Um, so I think that there's a huge opportunity actually for the government to really just come clean on everything. Come clean on everything, level with the American people and be like, yeah, you know what? We were taken over by criminal elements. We've essentially been running like a mafia for the past 100 years, right? I think that that could do a lot of good in this country in which the trust is at an all-time low. I think that any country, any society, any civilization, if it loses like that foundational trust, it's just doomed to completely collapse. So that's another thing. I'd really love the whole government, federal and maybe even state, to basically level with the American people and be like, yeah, sorry, we've been criminal for a long time. Here's what we're doing to fix it. Here's the people that are going to jail, right? And we'll try and prove to the American people. We'll give you reasons to start trusting us again.
Yeah, and I think you're right. The only way to really do that is to hold people accountable. People that you would typically think to be untouchable, right? To really, when you start holding some of these political dynasties accountable for what they've done, some of these big names that a lot of people know for what they've done, you lay it out there in an undeniable way for the people to see. I think that's the first big step into restoring some of that trust. And you're right, that lack of trust does create a major opportunity to tear a lot of this down, to undo a lot of the programming, and further remove that fog, or that veneer of credibility that the government has, just because it's they're the authority, so to speak. So I agree, man. We're in a unique moment right now, where we are positioned to make inroads with the normie population in a way that we've never seen before in our history. And you have the right people, I think, anyway, moving into the right positions to facilitate that disclosure, that accountability, and move the country forward in a very, very positive way. So it's you're absolutely right. Now, I do want to get into the some more of the Hunter Biden stuff, and I saw this tweet and I thought it was kind of really well written, or just the overall concept of it. I think really resonated with me. It says only one of these men had his room turned upside down at gunpoint by the DOJ, saw his dad get shot in the head by a deep state desperate to take him out, has been denied a bank account because of his last name, has a corrupt AG trying to take everything away from his family, and it isn't the corrupt sex trafficking crackhead. So spare me the fucking bullshit about fairness and selective politically motivated prosecution. And to that I say amen. If you think about how Barron Trump, Eric Trump, and Don Jr. have been treated versus Hunter Biden, it's astonishing, and it really is it really does perfectly highlight everything wrong right now with the current regime, the justice system, just how corrupt everything has gotten. Now, we talked a lot about the Hunter Biden pardon yesterday, and we touched on this very briefly towards the end of the show. But the prosecutors and special counsel David Weiss's office object to Hunter pardon and blast Joe Biden. So it says, today I signed a pardon. Oh, this is the what do you call it? The statement. Weiss's prosecutors asked the judge overseeing Hunter's tax evasion case in California not to dismiss the charges, but to just close the docket. The federal prosecutors defended their work and said several judges rejected Hunter's lawyers' claims of vindictive prosecution. Quote, in total, 11 different federal judges appointed by 6 different presidents, including his father, considered and rejected the defendant's claims, including his claims for selective and vindictive prosecution. Weiss's prosecutor wrote in a court filing on Monday, according to ABC News. Weiss's office said the grand jury's decision to charge Hunter should not be wiped away as if it never occurred. Quote, the government does not challenge that the defendant has been the recipient of an act of mercy, but that does not mean the grand jury's decision to charge him based on a finding of probable cause should be wiped away as if it never occurred, Weiss's prosecutor wrote. It also does not mean that his charges should be swept or should be wiped away because the defendant falsely claimed that the charges were the result of some improper motive. And basically what I think they're saying is that they want to continue to expose and go through the process of convicting him, even if it won't lead to any actual sentencing due to the pardon. A pardon doesn't expunge your record. The pardon doesn't delete the crime. It's still out there. So I think maybe it's a political move. I don't fully know, but I like the idea of still continuing to litigate this despite the pardon, even if you're not going to get a sentencing or a punishment for the laws that he's broken. So it's pretty interesting there. And honestly, there's a lot of demand, a lot of people upset on both sides of the aisle of the way that this was handled after months, if not years, of him, ever since the start of him saying that he wasn't going to pardon his son. I think a lot of people are pretty pissed off about it. So who knows? This might end up staying in the courtroom, or continuing on. Despite the pardon, we'll see what happens. But do you have any thoughts on that, Pixels?
Well, the people that are upset about this made one major mistake, and that was trusting Joe Biden. Literally anything that comes out of his mouth, you can't trust.
Yeah.
Another thought that I have is that these charges against Hunter were fucking stupid in the first place. They were never going to hold up. Not because, not that, Well, I think that there is a certain element of like the DOJ actually being on his side, and you have to remember this prosecutor wasn't going to bring charges against Hunter Biden until this all broke out in the media, and he was essentially forced by the optics to do so. The charges against Hunter Biden are number one, tax evasion. Now, I will say he cheated on a shitload of taxes, millions and millions of income that he didn't pay taxes on. But I think that the American people at large, um, especially people living paycheck to paycheck and have struggling paying their taxes while they watch their deadbeat neighbors use their EBT card to buy cake and 2 liters because that's like 80% of their diet, and then they think, wow, they're going to get obese and have health problems, and then they're going to use their taxpayer funded
Yeah.
medical to it's just a drain on the system. So I think the American people are sick and tired of taxes, number one. And I think that most people, they look at a case in which someone's being charged with tax evasion, and they couldn't give a shit because they despise how much money our government's taking from us, and they despise how it's being spent. Number two, I don't think any right-thinking American thinks that by virtue of having used drugs, especially something like weed, expunges you of your Second Amendment right. I think that's stupid as hell. I think most Americans think that law is stupid as hell. So the two charges against Hunter Biden, I don't think that many of the American people really give a shit about those two charges. Where are the charges for if the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money? Where are the charges for Burisma? Where are the charges for the potential human trafficking that was going on in Eastern Europe, right? Where are the charges for the hard drugs and the prostitutes and the underage sex, right? No charges for any of those things, all of which the American people actually give a whole lot of shits about. So from the whole thing from the beginning was stupid. It was just a way for that prosecutor to cover his ass. Now Joe Biden comes in, swoops in, saves the prosecutor, right? And now, I feel honestly that the prosecutor is just feigning outrage here. He's probably in the background, like, whew, wiping sweat from his forehead, thinking like, oh, thank God this is over. I was given an out. So that's my thoughts on the whole thing. I think the charges against Hunter Biden were ridiculous. Not that I don't think that he's guilty of those two things, but, we could have a conversation about whether those two things should honestly be crimes at all, given the circumstances in our country. So yeah, they could have charged him with a whole lot more serious stuff, all of which probably could have led to Joe Biden, which is why it didn't happen in the first place. So that's my thoughts on the whole thing. Now, Joe Biden lying to the American people and ending up, pardoning him, I think that does kind of confirm everything that we knew about Joe Biden to begin with, right? He's a dirty, corrupt, lying piece of garbage who has absolutely no problem blanket lying to the entire country. And just turning the other way and doing what he was going to do from the beginning. Doesn't care. And this doesn't affect Joe Biden. Joe Biden's going to ride off into the sunset with an ice cream cone and never be heard from again. He's probably going to die in a few years anyway because he's freaking old and has dementia. So that's just my whole thoughts on the whole thing. Sorry if it was cynical, but it's just my
No. I mean, you're not wrong to look at this as some kind of limited hangout, to kind of put a cap on how deep it goes. I think you're absolutely right about that. And I know I see people continue to talk about, the pardon takes away his Fifth Amendment, where he can't refuse to testify. I don't know if that's true or not. Like, the Fifth Amendment says you don't have to self-incriminate. Even if you're pardoned and immune from the crimes, you can still incriminate yourself. Just because they can't really charge you for those crimes, it's technically you're still incriminating yourself. Even with it's not, I don't even call it immunity necessarily, because you could still, even if you're pardoned, you can still be charged. Just don't think you could be sentenced. So I don't know. I don't know if that whole Fifth Amendment thing is true or not, or how that exactly works. And I don't even know, again, too, what, like, this blanket pardon for 11 years, how effective that is without actually mentioning specific crimes. That seems to be a huge abuse of power.
Yeah.
And really something that doesn't make any sense to me, as far as actually, like, okay, I could just wipe clean this entire era, and anything you did, whether you murdered somebody, committed treason, didn't pay your taxes, whatever the federal charge might be, that doesn't seem like it makes sense at all. And I think that there's going to be more to come on this, and how it plays out or how it's ruled on, we'll see. But a lot of questions I still have. That's for sure. Let's
I also think this gives a lot of latitude to President Trump to pardon whoever the fuck he wants, regardless of what they say. Because Joe Biden just basically declared that his son is indeed above the law for the next 11 years, no matter what.
No, I couldn't agree with you more there. Actually, Steve Bannon and Raheem Kassam had a pretty interesting back and forth on that very thought. Take a listen to this. I think this is spot on.
I think it was Tom Nichols over at The Atlantic talked about the strategic mistake the Democrats are making and Biden made with this pardon. And he's the only guy I've seen on the left that goes back and says, hey, the big problem here is they went back to January of 2014 and they're going to play right into the hands of the right-wing populists that are on top of this. Tell me, why is it so important that he went back 11 years and he went back to January 2014, sir?
Yeah, by the way, I want to start with this. I think on the record, I think the Hunter Biden pardon was an excellent, excellent move by Joe Biden. It works for us. It works for me. Because not only does it put the heat right back on all of that, and by the way, I'll happily trade them a pardon for Hunter Biden because now the spotlight goes back to that date. And all of the other people now.
Well, a spotlight only goes back to that date if you put it back on the date. Right. Fox, nobody on the right is focused on what the real story is here. The signal, not the noise.
Yeah.
The signal is that he's nervous enough. They're all nervous enough that they went back to January 2014. Why? Somebody said it was 10 years. I said, well, hang on. This thing right now is 11 years. Right? So it can't just be 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So walk me through why is that? And by the way, I 100% look. First off, I was the first one to say when I got out of prison, that guy's not going to last 48 hours in prison.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little boy mentally. Prison's meant to break you. It will break him, and it'll be the end, and he'll be back on drugs. And the drugs in these prisons are out of control. So I can understand doing that. But the way he did it and went back those years plays right into the story you've been telling people about the color revolution.
Or he'd be in the chapel with all the types of the people that go to the prison chapel. FYI. So, some people
not the best.
Some people will get that.
Not the best.
Look, if we go back, everything that happens on this stuff right now, on the international stage, everything will coalesce around Ukraine again, right? And
why is that? It's the center of gravity of modern politics. Why is that?
Because it was white Iraq. It was the money laundering of the defense. This is why it comes back to the Hegseth thing as well. This is why they don't want him as SecDef. This is why they're so desperate to stop it, because he's not going to do that. He's not interested in that. He's not interested in propping up the stock price of the defense companies. And you go back, I welcome the Hunter Biden pardon for two reasons. Number one, it gets us right back to Ukraine. It gets us right back to all the dodgy deals. And I don't care particularly. Like, you and I were the ones who went through chapter and verse all the Biden crime family with Rudy Giuliani and all of that stuff.
He's got that great
book
out.
But at this point, you have to take my word for it. I don't care about Hunter Biden himself. I care about the apparatus and I care about the wider corruption. The second thing that's really great about the pardon is that it basically enables Trump to go in day one and be like, okay, well, he politicized
all J6,
all done immediately. By the way, and plus, okay, others as well.
Yes,
we'll be caught up in that.
The people
prosecuted,
the
alternate electors,
alternate electors, the people praying in front.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of good points there. Some stuff we've touched on, but really, he's right. As far as Ukraine goes, I think. We've talked about Ukraine a lot on this channel, and we've brought a lot of that stuff to the forefront. But it is a huge deal. Like, that is the laundromat. That is the epicenter of so much of what's wrong in the world right now. And this really can help revive some of those narratives about Burisma, about the biolabs, all this stuff that hopefully will be revealed with this new administration, with Tulsi in charge of DNI. It kind of really helps to bring that back around. And think about like the first impeachment, right? Which is so far out of people's minds at this moment. And Donald Trump said it was a perfect phone call. He played those videos, the video of Joe Biden. Oh, I said, this son of a bitch, he got the money, after I told him that he wasn't going to get the money if he didn't fire the prosecutor, whatever. All that stuff.
They impeached him for withholding, or they said they were impeaching him for withholding money because he was investigating what Joe Biden actually did. And as far as the January 6th stuff is concerned, and just as some of the other stuff you brought up, just to make it this point out, is that it's almost like you have the fruit of the poisonous tree, especially with the January 6th stuff. If you're going to abuse your power and go after nonviolent people, and you're going to overcharge people using an Enron statute, well, I'm sorry. The people that were actually maybe have assaulted someone, they get out too, because you abuse the system to the point where we're not even going to go and litigate every single one at this point. You overstep your boundaries so much, we're just giving everyone goes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Huge tactical error, right? I think we're all in agreement that this pardon was a huge tactical error, or another layer of sabotage by the Biden administration towards his own party that he probably feels very betrayed by. What's your read on it, guys? Is he simply trying to cover his ass, help his son, and just like try to protect the overall narrative around Ukraine? Or is this a guy who feels like he was done dirty and is looking for ways to just kind of set the place on fire on his way out the door? I'd love to hear both of your opinions on this.
Honestly, it could be both. Like, it's killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
I think that, Biden is a very self-interested guy. He's very selfish. So I think that it could be more of the covering his ass part. But I do think that there's a level of vindictiveness there with him, between him and the Democrat Party. So I'll go with both. Honestly, I think that he's both trying to screw them up and cover his own ass. And I would make another point. Everything that they have done since the election, I think it's shown us that they're actually transitioning from offense to defense. And I think that they're truly worried when they look at the cabinet that President Trump is putting together, when they look at the massive, absolutely massive mandate that they have to clean up the corruption in the government, to expose all the, the truths that need to be exposed and hold people accountable. So I think that they're preparing for that. And it should tell us that this really is the real deal. This really is going to be a very, very different government. And that we did the right thing by fighting so hard to get President Trump in office. I think that it reconfirms for us how important this really is and how I think country changing it's going to be.
Yeah, no, that's well said. Bongino was saying that his contact suggested Hunter was threatening his dad with exposure unless he gave a pardon, says Red Ant. I haven't heard that. That's pretty interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, this whole thing, regardless of how it came to be, I agree with Steve and Raheem that this was a huge mistake on their part, and ultimately is only going to add more wind at the back of the Make America Great Again agenda, the America First agenda, this idea of truth and reconciliation, the disclosure of so much corruption. I think America is as hungry for it as they've ever been, and is ready to hear it as they've ever been. Pinata, before I go to break, did you have any opinion on that? Whether you think Joe Biden might be trying to burn the place down on his way out the door, or if this simply was just trying to mitigate damage, to his family and maybe a few other allies?
Well, it's hard to say. It's just, but when you put a bunch of these events in order, I think I agree. It could be both. I just don't think we'll know unless something else pretty down the line shows that this was such a bad move and not just about protecting him, that it opens us up to, like, was this done on purpose or not? Because how else can you explain this miraculous chain of events, so to speak? Like, we'll see how much more you can have these coincidences before it looks as though it's a purposeful action.
Yeah.
And I think also, sorry, I think also, if he really did want to burn it down, there's a whole lot of other things that he could do to do that.
For sure. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that he is sabotaging at this point. I think he's really pissed about the way they kind of took away his presidency. performed a coup on him, and I think that he and Jill are both quite spiteful, and they have no loyalty to the Democrat Party. They're career crooks. If they could have come up grifting the Republican Party just as easily, they would have done that too. It wouldn't have mattered which side they were on. They're simply crooks. So I think that they were embarrassed. They were they were pissed off about the way that all went down, and I do think there's an element of revenge going on here, which is beautiful. Which is beautiful to see. To watch them destroy each other, and more so just kind of watch from the sideline, not watch from the sidelines, but allow them to do a lot of damage and provide even more capital, political capital, and otherwise to really dig in and take down this old guard. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because it was the old guard that forced this guy on us in the first place, to protect their investments in Ukraine. And then, the way they got him in there, and with the voter fraud, the poetic justice of it all coming around, that he's the one that's kind of forced Kamala on them, and is now really, really taking away any moral high ground that they ever had with his pardon of his son. It's hilarious to me. The irony is fantastic here. So anyway, let's go ahead and take our break. I've got some more clips, media clips around the pardon. I don't know if we'll play all of them because I did pull quite a few, and I don't know how much time we need to spend on that. I've got some more stuff on Kash Patel and his process as well, and then we'll get into, I don't know. I've got all kind of other stuff. We've got some immigration related things. We've got some media related things. Project Veritas put out a video recently that was kind of interesting, or at least like the first few seconds of it that I saw. And I got a bunch of other things too. So we'll just kind of see where the conversation goes in the second hour. That second hour will be exclusively on pilled.net. So please find your way over there. And I'm talking to you guys over on Rumble, DLive, CloudHub, Odyssey, and Twitter. Pilled.net is our free speech platform. The only really true free speech platform when you look at the way it's built. It doesn't take any it doesn't use any big tech infrastructure or have any corporate influence. So there's no one that can leverage the platform by denying service to keep it up and running, to leverage your free speech on it. It's a completely grassroots. It's built for and by this community, and we love it there. And I hope you guys will come over and check it out. I put the link in the Rumble description, and it's over on the DLive chat, the Rumble chat as well. If you can't get to the links, just type in pilled.net to your browser, and you will you'll see us live there on the side or top of the screen, depending on whether you're on desktop or mobile. But yeah, come on over. It's free to join, and again, a great community, a great feature-rich platform that you'll really come to love with a little getting used to. All right, let's play this quick video. On the other side, we'll shut down the other platforms. We'll check in with your gold pills and continue on with the conversation. See you guys in 45 seconds.
Pilled.net is proud to host 412 Productions exclusively on the true home of free speech. To continue watching the show, we are here to help you over to Pilled. If you're new to the platform, just click on the welcome link provided. It will then automatically walk you through signing up for your free account. If you already have a Pilled.net account, follow the link provided directing you straight to 412 Productions channel. We are excited to have you join the Pilled family, and if you have any questions at all, please email support@pilled.net. Enjoy the rest of 412 Productions on Pilled.net. Free speech lives here.
All right, we are back as always. A big thank you to all of you guys out there who have made your way over from other platforms to keep hanging out with us today for the second hour. If you're not gonna make it over, no worries. I'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I believe we're gonna have Daddy Dragon riding shotgun with us on tomorrow's show. So it'll be great to check in with him and see what's going on across the pond. Thursday's Taking It Back with Frank and Zach. And Friday, I'll be having M3, Methods of Madness, joining the show as well. So lots of good stuff to wrap up the week. And I am planning on doing a Saturday morning chat as well at 10 a.m. on Saturday too. So lots and lots more to come this week. And I don't know about next week yet. I got to figure out. I think we have Scott of Woke Societies coming on the 9th. And I believe Pixels, I got you on the 10th if you're gonna be available. And then Wednesday, I think Maxanon was going to join us next week. And then every Friday that he can, Methods is going to join us on Fridays. So Friday the 13th, we should have Methods back again as well. So very excited about that. I had been advertising that I would potentially join Methods tomorrow morning. That's not going to happen now. I had some work stuff come up, but potentially Thursday, I may be able to jump in with him at 10 a.m. for a Words and Stuff broadcast. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully, I'll be able to make Thursday work because tomorrow is no longer a possibility. So that is all I have there as far as housekeeping goes. So again, one last chance to pop on over to Pilled before we shut down these other platforms. Again, there's links in the description on Rumble, the live chat on Rumble, and the live chat on DLive. Again, or just as simple as typing in pilled.net to your browser and finding us there at 412 Productions. Hope to see you there. Otherwise, have a great rest of your Tuesday.